going on, everybody? This Afro think tank. So Donald Trump is trying to merge Department of Home. They're trying to merge Customs and Border Patrol with the military, with ICE, in such a way that would give ICE and Customs basically military-like powers within America to combat what they call illegal immigration, right? It would give them the power to, they wouldn't need a warrant, right? Because the military operates differently from the police force, right? You know, or any policing agency. And they have to go by the, you know, the law of the land as far as how it's set up for policing forces. But the military is a different thing altogether. They don't have those, they don't have to do, read you your rights and any of that stuff. So they would be more leeway using the military than, doing things that they want to do, besides using the police force. This is very dangerous. And this is not going to happen. All right, I'm telling you right now, he's trying to make it happen. Not going to happen, right? It's just too much. The logistics is too much. As far as lawfulness, completely, like, you can't just use a clandestine, paramilitary, quasi-legal force to just be busting in people's houses with no warrant. That's what he wants to do. He wants to be able to come in your house and just take you with no warrant in the middle of the night with a SWAT team that got all the powers of the U.S. military. That's what he's trying to do. Like, Trump is legitimately the most evil puppet, because he is, in fact, a puppet. Keep in mind, Trump is not doing any of this. All right? He's the catalyst for the ones in the back that's trying their best to get as many brown people out of the country as possible. This all has to do with white population and fragility. That's what this is. This is all has to do with the white population and fragility. And here's the thing. The reason why they can go so hard trying to get rid of all the what they call illegal immigrants is because robots is coming. Y'all gotta put two and two together. They don't need you new niggas. They got some new niggas. You get it? First they had the African. The whole point of capitalism is to make the most amount of money as possible, right? First we gotta use capitalism, right? They want to pay you the least amount of money. They want to have the lowest overhead so they make the maximized profit. So when you have slavery, which was capitalism, right? They enslaved us, had 100% free labor. The only overhead was to keep us alive, at least some of us, and the ship, and commission the ships to go back and forth, and the commission, the paramilitary forces got to use to go in there and sacrifice all their white ass lives to grab 4-5 Africans. All right? Right? They did that. That was the only overhead they had. Other than that, we talking about 100% profit, 500% profit. Then after that got abolished, because the only reason it got abolished because the white folks was jealous of the other white folks making more money off slavery than them. And then because they couldn't do it because they were too busy fighting other white folks in some war in Europe, that they had to crush the transatlantic slave trade to stop the financing of those European wars. Because y'all didn't know that, did you? A lot of y'all don't know the transatlantic slave trade financed European wars on top of a lot of other things. Because war costs money. Troops cost money. Europeans killing Europeans costs a lot of money. So they needed African slaves, right, to make the money so they can do that. Therefore, stopping the transatlantic slave trade was strategic to stop certain Europeans from gaining too much power via influx of money so that they wouldn't be able to build armies and take over other portions of Europe. Okay? So, with that being said, so that's how capitalism works. So when they couldn't do that, right, they went and got the Indians, genocided the Indians. Like, the Indians act like that shit didn't even happen. They so far up white people's ass. I get sick as a human being. I get embarrassed the way Indians are. But Indians got genocided, great murdered, and then they got distributed across the world in all the former plantations that Africans used to be on. And they were putting them same slave quarters, right, putting them same fields and made to work. That's why them Indians in the Caribbean and South America, right? They were slaves. They called them indentured servitude. They were slaves, right? Because remember, we became indentured servants after being slaves. And they went and got them damn Indians and made them indentured servants and paid them less. Because, now you got to pay motherfucker, right? So then after that shit died out and they had the Industrial Revolution, they start enslaving kids. Y'all forget there was a whole era where your little 7-year-old was working in a goddamn manufacturing plant being told to go in between 4-ton pieces of equipment that got jagged edges to fix some shit with a fucking torque wrench. Y'all forget that about the street kids back in the day. We used to have what? And 40 hours work. Man, you was working 80 hours a day, 9 days out of a 7-day week. Kids, y'all forget we had to we had to pass legislation so we can save our children from capitalism. Right? Y'all forget that? So we went from black African slaves, Indian slaves, goddamn everybody is a slave. The kids are a slave, now everybody's a slave. They figured it on out. And of course we got the prison industrial complex that make a bunch of stuff for those people with the yarmulkes for free, right? That's the other slavery that, that somehow at some point we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna deal with that, right? So now that we got, then the Mexicans was the last group. Like, we're gonna get these goddamn mosquitoes, the children of all the Indians that we graped over the last 500 years, and we're gonna make them dudes work for peanuts, because these goddamn Americans, these poor white folks and these poor black folks got the nerve to want a living wage. Fuck that. We ain't giving them no living wage. We're gonna go get these damn Indians, call them Mexicans, call them Salvadorians, we're gonna make them work for us for nothing. Right? Basically nothing. But now there's a new nigga coming. And guess what he don't need? He don't need that $2 that you was paying that Mexican. He don't need that $2. He don't need that lunch break that Mexican needed. Shit. They wasn't getting health care, so they weren't worried about that. They trying to cut that overhead all the way down. That motherfucker R2-D2 about to be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week straight. No complaining, no breaks, no nothing. Why you think we need them data centers? So we can charge them bitches up. Why you think they being plastered all over the place by tech companies who also just so happen to own the robotic companies? Come on, y'all, put this shit together. So now that they don't need, right, that labor force no more, they free to just say, fuck it, we getting rid of all of them. We don't care if they're criminals or not. That's what's happening, guys. That's what's happening. They don't need that labor force no more because they cost too much. And they not, even if they try to keep that labor force, the company that hires the robots to do the work are gonna outcompete them. Therefore, they're gonna have to do the same thing. They'll be forced to use robots and AI for agriculture and everything else. They're going to be forced to do it. Therefore, what do we need all these Mexicans, Salvadorians, and Guatemalans here for? For what? What do they do? Now they're taking up space. Now they're just here, right, threatening our daughters, because our daughters may like them and shit, may like their sons and shit, right? That's the problem now. Can't have all these Haitians over here now because they got boys and shit, and our daughters might like they boys, right? So now let's get rid of them because we got these damn slave robots that will never complain, never rebel, maybe. Maybe. But anyway, but that's what's happening, guys. So I'll put some information here so you can check it out. Dog, we got this motherfuckers like these. God damn, man. Like all the movies that we watch where you got the evil people and the good people, right? Do these people go to the movies and they go for the evil people? Are they always on the evil people's side? Like, yeah. And do they get sad at the end of the movie when the evil people lose and shit? They be like, damn, you shouldn't have ran your mouth. You should have just killed him. Why'd you run that little dialogue? You gave him 15 minutes to figure out how to get out of that shit, They be complaining, like saying shit like that. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something. Teach them. I'm out.
Today, we are getting an exclusive inside look at some of the clashes that erupted within the Department of Homeland Security as leaders work to carry out President Trump's mass deportation plan.
One of those clashes happened during a meeting when officials were discussing a plan to combine the powers of ICE, the Defense Department, and Customs and Border Protection, all to surge immigration operations across the country. Two DHS officials familiar with that meeting say tensions got so heated, they all had to clear the room.
This is just one of the stories that's told in a new book. It's out today. It's called Undue Process, and it was written by our very own NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent, Julia Ainsley. Julia, welcome. Thanks for being here on set with us. Let's go back to what I just said. What was the discussion, that heated discussion in that room all about? And I know you have other stories, too, that you reveal in the book.
I think a lot of viewers, when they hear about what's going on at DHS, they think that it's all being carried out by people who are lockstep with Trump on his goal for 1 million deportations in a year. But what I found is there were a lot of people who disagreed. And in this meeting, acting ICE Director Caleb Vitello disagreed with this plan, especially because it would have allowed ICE officers to go into homes, someone's last known address, without a warrant. A version of that did end up happening, but Vitelli was afraid American citizens could get swept up in this, and he thought it was a violation of the Fourth Amendment. I also found other examples of this, including there was a law professor who was training ICE officers, and when journalists got a chance to ask him a question about breaking car windows, he said that those officers needed a reasonable suspicion, and he was reassigned that very afternoon and lost his job because of those comments. Another woman who was a press secretary within ICE, had a long career there, was walked out with all of her things in a box by armed guards, and she believes it was because she refused to call immigrants scumbags in a statement, because she said, what if we're wrong?
I mean, Julia, why write this book now? What do you want readers to take away?
Well, what I want people to take away is, A, just how unique 2025 was when it came to immigration policy, whether it was rebutting court orders or by expanding surveillance of immigrants, even legal immigrants in the United States. But for people who have very different opinions about immigration, or even for people who don't really understand it or it's not their number one issue, I want them to understand the way Trump used this issue. It was his biggest political asset coming into office to expand executive power. And it will walk you through how we got to the events we saw in Minneapolis, when his biggest political asset really turned into a major political liability. And even though that's cooled off now, it could all easily be turned back on after the midterms.
I pray all of the billionaires who exploit the lower class fucking die. And they get licked down, put in the ground, dug up, and then fucking told to die again. Bitch ass fucks. Fuck is you talking about? Amen.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.